Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
This is Financial Issues, where we help you defund darkness and fund the light by investing with biblical integrity. Merry Christmas to all of you today. Seth Udinsky, Sam Case, and your host, Mark Manila. Mark, it's great to be here on a Tuesday with you.
Well, thank you, Seth, and welcome, everyone. Glad you're here with us.
We sure are. And we want you to call in right now, folks. Phone lines are wide open. They'll be open for the next hour. Give us a call, 610-363-1110. Again, 610-363-1110. If you want to join the live conversation, you might be listening to a later broadcast version of our show. Join us at 9:05 Eastern Time. But for those of you with us this morning, great to have you. 610-363-1110. On today's show, guys, interesting things we'll be talking about. One very large pharmaceutical company is officially ending its relationship with the very controversial pro-LGBTQ human rights campaign known as HRC. We have a special guest joining us to discuss that very shortly. You're not going to want to miss that. Also, it looks like China is leading in technology as the AI craze continues to move. But first and foremost, Mark, we started a series yesterday as we're preparing for the new year on 7 strategies for a financially healthy year. And I'm going to let you take it away, brother.
Okay, well, today we're moving on to, you may remember yesterday, before I tell you what we're moving on to, we talked about debt. And, debt is probably the number one destruction of wealth and stewardship that I've ever found. We talked about different steps to possibly get out of debt, different ways to do that. And now one of those things to help you keep out of debt is to build a moat around your castle. It blends right in with the debt, but it goes beyond that. Even if you don't have any debt, here's a strategy that God has given us so that we can be prepared, that we have the liquidity and the cash we need so we never get lulled into using credit cards or having to use credit cards when all of a sudden something comes up that we didn't foresee and or we didn't prepare for, which is most of life, by the way. So building a moat around your castle, the moat is liquidity, pardon the pun there, but it's liquidity. You build a moat around your castle, Mark, for the same reason.
Really good, by the way. Really
good. Don't encourage me, Seth. Don't encourage me. So what's really happening here is your castle is your financial structure. It's your stewardship. It's everything God has entrusted to you physically to care for and for him and for those and for his purposes. Now, the moat around the castle, it's there to keep the thieves from stealing you blind, keep the credit thieves out, meaning instead of, you have the liquidity there. If the car breaks down, you have the money to take care of it. If you lose your job, you have a buffer zone there to take care of it. So building a moat around your castle should be something everybody does right off the bat. Even before you start investing, this is more important than getting to investing. Otherwise, you could end up in a vicious cycle of getting in debt, getting out of debt, getting in debt, and all the frustration, distraction, that's really important, the distraction that kind of life leaves. By building the moat around your castle, there's so many wonderful things that can come out of it, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But let's talk about this for a second. What does it mean? There's really 2 parts to that moat. And the first part is the part that everybody thinks about. That's that emergency fund you have. And that's for those really big, disastrous situations. Here's how you calculate it. Calculate 1 month of essential expenses. And when I say essential, that's stuff like mortgage or rent or utilities, insurances, food, transportation, and minimum, now listen to this, minimum debt payments, not what you're paying on your debt. Hopefully you're moving forward quickly on it, but minimum debt payments. You figure out just 1 month of that and then get a clear picture of that baseline cost of living for just 1 month. Then, if you have the funds, deposit 3 months worth of these essential expenses into a money market account. Yeah, 3 months worth. And the purpose for this is it's your emergency moat. It's for serious financial situations like job loss, major medical bills, or unforeseen large-scale crisis. Think about this. I have coached, I have I have been an advisor to a lot of people, from executives down to people who worked at burger shops, and they get laid off and they panic immediately. You know why they panic? Because they don't have the money to make their next car payment, or they don't have the money to pay their mortgage, and they don't have any severance coming from the executives, or if they do have severance, they've already spent it somehow, some way, and they're now coming to me after they ran out of their severance, trying to figure out how to get on with life. Well, if you have a buffer zone, you don't panic. What you do is you sit down, you go before the Lord, you get on your knees, you pray, Lord, I appreciate you taking me out of that job for whatever reason. Now help me find the one you want me to be in. You start searching. You do what God calls you to do. You utilize all his resources, which is your body, your mind, his spirit, his strength, and all that, to find that other job, and you go about it. Meanwhile, your bills are getting paid, and you're not having to panic like that. It's not so you can get lazy, but it's to keep the anxiety and fear out of your life. So you build that first. That's the most important thing. And then you don't touch this unless it's a real emergency. You don't touch it to go buy that toy you wanted, or
my new sword
thing,
Mark, speaking of the castle theme,
the new shiny thing you see. Yeah, right.
What if you want to buy some alligators to put in your moat, though? That might be a good investment.
That might be a good investment, sure.
I don't know. The analogy is breaking down.
Yeah, let's back off from it a little bit. But that's only part one of the moat around your castle. Part two is just as big, and this is what protects you from the everyday type of things. So what you do is you sit down and you get a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On the left-hand side, identify as many occasional non-monthly expenses as you can, and make a list of these irregular but predictable expenses, such as personal property taxes, car maintenance, Christmas or holiday gifts, weddings, birthdays, insurance premiums, all the veterinarian costs, maybe co-pays, that kind of stuff. Make a list of, and think until you can't think of any more. And then think about the occasional expenses that you don't really think about much, that come up, that, like the car repairs, which you can't predict. But if you got a 10-year-old car, predict $1,500 a year, and that kind of stuff. So write those kind of things. Like, what are the kind of things? Well, maybe the washing machine could go out, or the hot water heater. What are the things that, life cycles of these and how old they are, and kind of put those in there too. Then finally, what you do is on the right side, you write down what is the annual cost for each of these things. And if possible, then if you have the money, fund this account with 50 to 100% of your your total for yearly occasional expenses. Now that could be a chunk, but if you don't have it all, that's okay too. You could start with as little as 50% if you could afford that, but 50 to 100% of your total yearly occasional expenses, and then put that in a liquid savings account, because it's going to be money in, money out. It's going to be one of those accounts. And don't lock these funds up like you did for it wasn't really locked up, but don't put in your mind that these are locked up. Don't put it into CDs or long-term investments. Now, to finalize this step, what you want to do is set up an automatic monthly deposit of 1/12 of those occasional expenses into that same account from your checking account. The reason for this is you're going to be using this money. When personal property tax comes, you pay it, and then you reimburse yourself from your savings account. And you don't worry about it, because you are continuously funding the moat. A trickle is going in there every month to refund those things. When the car breaks down, you don't have to worry about paying for it. All you have to do is worry about finding a mechanic you can trust and that's reasonable. When it's time for your insurance payment, you don't have to worry about it. The money, you just make sure you get it paid and then reimburse yourself. So that's how you build your moat around your castle. And you just continue making monthly contributions. That balance will rise and fall, but it'll replenish itself. The only stress, and this is what's cool, the only stress you'll have from now on when things happen it won't have to do with money. It's just trying to remember to reimburse yourself. So I think that's really important. and you're going to find peace. One of it, you're going to find a lot less. Don't go right if when major medical bills hit, job loss or job change or unforeseen things happen in your financial world, you have that buffer zone. You know God's there. For one, he helped you to build it. And two, you know the shorter term, the one for occasional expenses, is self-replenishing, and you always have the backup for the wash. You know, honey, the washing machine broke down. You don't freak out. You just go decide to get another one, you go replace it, and you reimburse yourself. The peace, the joy, and lack of anxiety, all that stuff comes together for you and your finances. And that's why we're here, to help you enjoy more of what God has blessed you with, and to help your finances represent your worship.
There are moments in life that define us. Choices determine the courses we take. Choices that investing.
Are you tired of the chaos? There are a lot of things that make noise, but only a few that truly matter. As a parent, I want to leave something that will last for a long time.
You invest $300 a month increase on slowly by the time you retire.
Not just an inheritance of money, but a legacy of godly values.
Here at Financial Issues, we want to help you grow your money, but our main goal is to help you honor God with the money that He's given you.
Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
If a woman sees her baby on ultrasound, it doubles the likelihood that she'll choose life. On top of that, we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with her. This is why you should support preborn.
Then they sat me down. If you were to die today, do you think you would go to heaven? And I was like, no. Keeping the child was my first stepping stone. And ever since then, God has cleaned me up from the inside out.
Help support women in need. Go to preborn.com/FISM.
610-363-1110. Folks, give us a call right now. Hey, by the way, so great to see. We've got so many people on the chat. We're approaching record numbers on our chat this morning. If you're new on our chat, please say hello. We'd love to bid you a hello and a Merry Christmas. There's a lot of the what we call the FISM super fans who are on the chat, people who've been with us for so long and know the ins and outs of the ministry. So join them as well. Make sure to say hello on the chat. 610-363-1110. All right, fellas. So real interesting story here that we're going to talk about. It looks like a very large pharmaceutical company has broken the chains off its wrists from the HRC company. Sam, give us the details. What's going on?
And the winner is CVS. They're the ones who have ended their corporate sponsorship with the Human Rights Campaign, which, as we've mentioned, is an activist group that rates businesses on their support for LGBT issues, really pushing that radicalism. By the way, according to the National Center for Public Policy Research, they report that HRC has lost 38% of its corporate partners over the last year, although it should be noted that some of these companies still seem to be participating, at least for now, in HRC's rating system. That's based on old data, though, so we'll have to see what that looks like in the coming year. But still, it's very good news.
Interesting. Mark, what do you make of this?
Well, joining us to help make sense of this is Stefan Padfield, Executive Director of Free Enterprise Project at the National Center for Public Policy Research. Stefan, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here because I'd really like us to make sense of this. First of all, Human Rights Campaign sounds so noble and just. Can you help us understand really what it is and what its impact has been?
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is one of the things that I constantly have to tip my hat to the left for their very successful use of language, right? What could be wrong with human rights? What could be wrong with diversity, inclusion, right? I mean, they just really do have a corner on the market for great branding. And part of the work that we do is try to get people to look under the hood and expose what's really going on. So with the Human Rights Campaign, the main thing that we focus on with them, and that a lot of people have noted, is they have this corporate equality index. They send out a survey, corporations fill it out, and then they get scored. And there clearly seems to be an incentive for these corporations to try to score 100%. And what it takes to score 100% seems to change every year. So there's certainly an aspect of moving the goalposts in a more and more radical direction. And, people can definitely vary on how radical they think various parts of the survey and what is required to get 100% are. But once you go down all the relevant rabbit holes, at the end of the day, we are including the most radical things, right? So basically telling children that they can be born in the wrong body, encouraging teenagers to, get body parts cut off, the whole laundry list of things in terms of, allowing men to invade women's spaces simply by claiming to be women. It goes on and on. So really there is a significant problem when businesses just embrace the HRC the way they have been. And so it's something for us to note and celebrate when we start seeing a movement pulling back.
Okay, so and that's what seems to me to be the confusion. Some people say they rate high on HRC. That's good. No, it's not good, because that means if they rate high on HRC, that means that they are promoting LGBTQ, sexual immorality, transgender for children. They're promoting all the ugliness of DEI and all the things that go against biblical principles. Am I correct? And is that a correct way to say it?
I think you're absolutely right. And really such a significant part of the work we do, and others, right, who are pushing the truth, is simply waking people up, and I'll use woke here in a positive way, waking people up to the reality of what's behind the good sounding language, right? Because most people are extremely busy. I mean, we're all busy, but I'm busy focusing on this stuff. Most people are busy focusing on things other than what exactly is behind the HRC. So there is an element of significant education that has to go on, because it is very natural to think it's a human rights campaign. Wouldn't you want to score 100% on a human rights campaign survey? So again, the education of what that really means. And I think another group that does an excellent job of really pulling back the curtain is the 1792 Exchange. I really encourage anybody who is curious about this to go visit the 1792 Exchange. They do bias ratings on all the major corporations, and a large part of what they do is spell out in great detail what getting 100% score on the HRC's Corporate Equality Index really means. And you really can't come away from that with any other impression that this is pushing the furthest fringes of leftist transgender radicalism.
So here's what bothers me. Why would it, I ran a couple of companies. Now they were like very, very micro companies compared to these large national and international companies, obviously. But I would never fill out, and especially I wouldn't pay to fill out one of those surveys for somebody to step in and start deciding, ranking me and stuff on anything. I'd rather my actions and be what the world sees is how people look at me, and my companies, not some third-party company trying to influence me and influence the world and influence everybody, and take money for doing that. So why do these large corporations do this? Was there government grants for them involved? Were there monies coming into them that from doing this? What was the incentive for a corporation to step out like this?
Yeah, it's such a great point. And I think it's one that really requires us to be willing to consider more than one answer. And I do want to take a quick moment just so I don't leave here without having said this. And I think this was teed up at the beginning of the segment. So CVS has apparently dropped their partnership. A year ago, if you went to the website, you saw them listed as a partner. They're no longer there. There's a number of companies that's happened for. They have been very quiet about that. We only stumbled upon it, but they do still have a 100% score. So, right, this is one of those things where there's things to celebrate, and then there's things to continue pushing. And in fact, we are submitting another proposal at CVS, which is going to be a women's rights audit, women's rights report request, essentially saying, look, if you're going to score 100% on the HRC CEI, then you must have made a decision about what you think a woman is, and whether or not you think a man can become a woman by simply saying so, and whether or not you think a child can be born in the wrong body. Because if you're leaning all in to the HRC's agenda and getting 100% without having made those decisions, then you're arguably in breach of duty. So look out for that.
Well, how could they score 100% if they're not doing the survey anymore? If they're not being a partner, if you're not a partner, you don't do the survey. Is that correct?
No, it's two very different things. So being a partner is an additional layer of support. So it's both. So I believe there's financial support, because when you go to HRC's website, that's what they basically say. Our corporate partners support us. So you can fill out the survey. I think there's a way to think about this is basically three tiers. So HRC can survey companies based purely on public available information, right? The next is they send a survey and it actually gets filled out. So that's a form of cooperation. I think it's unlikely that a company would get 100% without having filled out the survey. And then is the partnership, right? And so CVS has withdrawn the partnership, but appear to still be cooperating. And you know, just to get back to your original question about how did we get here? What are the incentives? So I always say there's at least 4 types, right? There's the true believers, and I'm talking about in the C-suite, in the corporate bureaucracy that are making these decisions, right? There's the true believers who actually do believe all of this agenda. There's the radicals who don't not only believe it, or maybe they don't, but they're really just concerned about an outright revolution, right? There's that famous saying, the issue is never the issue is always the revolution. So they just see it as there's a long-standing tradition of trying to undermine, free market capitalism and the founding of our country by attacking traditional marriage, traditional family, traditional gender roles. So the revolutionaries are a part of that. Then there's the useful idiots. That's a little bit of a harsh term, but it probably fits, right? They just don't understand. They see HRC, they see human rights, they think it's good. And then there's the opportunists who may well be misguided, right? They think that they can, ignore. I mean, this is something that went on for a while. I think corporate America for a long time thought it could basically just ignore conservative consumers, shareholders, stakeholders, because we were known to be pro-business and we were known not to be boycotters and radical cancel culture advocates, right?
They never met financial issues, have they?
That's right. That's right. But we've definitely seen a tipping point, right? We saw that with Target. Right. We saw that with Bud Light. So that calculus has changed. So I think at the end of the day, the question of what type of individual and what incentives are at work varies. I will say with CVS, we engaged with them 2 years ago, particularly about backing away from HRC. They were able to exclude the proposal, but ended up doing it anyway, so we count that as a win. But in that engagement, at least the executive that I engaged with, he absolutely saw this as simply doing what CVS would do even if the HRC didn't exist, right? He didn't see any sort of controversy about any of these things. So I would say he's a true believer in the sense that when you go through the items of transgenderism and the LGBTQ plus agenda, he's just like, yeah, of course, we're down with all of that, right? And so that is part, you can't ignure the fact.
So there's no reason to celebrate here. There's no reason to celebrate that just because they stopped defunding, their whole corporate culture is still leaning in and participating in causing people to stumble on their walk with Christ or towards Christ, or are using and abusing people, having people mutilate. Just encouraging the mutilation of children and confusing children with sexual immorality that just won't stop. So CVS, really, all they've done is put some money back in their pocket. They haven't done anything as far as honoring God or just being neutral in the whole situation.
Well, I'll say I am a big believer in saying in many circumstances, both things can be true. And in this case, I think it is both true that we should celebrate the fact that they are unwilling to slap the CVS brand logo anymore on HRC's corporate partner page. I think that's significant, and we should celebrate that. And we should celebrate the fact that something like 40% of corporations have decided, you know what, it's actually not in our best interest to have our logo emblazoned. It's also interesting to look and see which corporations are still proudly slapping their logo on there. But at the same time, it is also true that we don't want to spend more than the minimum amount of time celebrating that and patting ourselves on the back for that. We need to stay vigilant. We need to keep pushing and exposing and basically just speaking the truth on these issues. And we will eventually win, because I do believe fundamentally, as I'm sure you do as well, that we are on the side of truth here.
Amen.
Foundationally.
Amen, we are.
And so it is just a matter of continuing to educate, continuing to expose. But yes, both things are true. We need some hope because of how much the culture, certainly the corporate culture, has been taken over by leftist ideologues. So we need to celebrate the wins, and we need some hope that that's possible. And at the same time, we need to stay vigilant, be honest about where we actually are in this fight, and hold them accountable.
Well, we are very grateful for Free Enterprise Project and for you, Stefan, to keep the pressure up there to help more and more of these corporations realize that there are, in fact, the majority of people in this country are conservative. The majority do believe there's a God, and that he's a good God with a good understanding of what we need to be doing. Thank you so much for being with us.
My wife and I, we moved into this neighborhood. We had some experience with Crossroads Kids Club. We had served at another club. We kind of thought to ourselves, like, it would be really, really cool for us to actually bring in a club that was able to share the love of Jesus with kids directly into the school. And so we started our Crossroads at Hilltop.
Crossroads is amazing. You can learn all kinds of things about God. That he loves all of us. He died on the cross to pay for our sins. That he will help me in every way.
There is just such tremendous opportunity to reach kids in some of these areas that just aren't being reached.
Sometimes I pray every night. When I feel alone sometimes, God is right there sitting next to me. I can rely on him no matter what happens.
Help reach kids with the hope of the gospel. Visit reachourschools.com.
Tony is calling from the great state of Minnesota.
Hi, Seth. I've been a partner for probably about 6 years, and I've been a monthly soldier for probably about 5. I wanted to talk about the value of financial issues. A full-service broker was managing my portfolio for a number of years, and I was paying them 1% of my portfolio value for all the things that they did for me. The things that they were doing is pretty much the same thing as Financial Issues is doing, as far as stock picks and asset allocation and live advice. The idea that you're only charging, $135 a year, that is ridiculously low when I was paying 1% of my portfolio value. So I think everyone, all the partners, should be a monthly soldier.
Thank you for standing with us, man. It's an honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, brother.
Invest without compromise. Go to financialissues.org to get started today.
I want to make a point. No matter what happens, I'll always be there for you.
I know.
Folks, now's a great time to queue your call up. Give us a call right now. We would love to talk to you. If you've got a question about that interview that Mark just did with Stefan, if you got a question about your portfolio, year-end activity, the buy list, anything on your mind, we'd love to talk with you about it. 610-363-1110. Markets yesterday, guys, they were moderately negative. Looks like AI stocks are remaining under pressure, which is no surprise to anyone. By Monday's closing bell, right, Mark? The Dow Jones was just below the flat line. Same with the S&P 500. 500, and the NASDAQ was down about 0.2%, a little less than that. Markets just opened up. It looks like they've opened slightly mixed. We got some delayed jobs data out this morning. The Dow Jones is flat, S&P 500 and the NASDAQ slightly below. So we'll see what the markets do as the day goes on.
It sounds pretty normal.
It does sound pretty normal. And I guess that's a good thing, isn't it, Mark? When the
it is a good thing.
Somewhat normal.
Especially this time of year.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Hey, Mark, I've heard the term Santa rally thrown around a lot. I don't know if all of our listeners know what that is. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, the Santa rally really comes from, I think that what causes it is a lot of mutual funds, a lot of different portfolio managers are dressing up their portfolios for the end of the year, getting rid of the losers so it looks better. Maybe doing some of the kind of stuff that some of our partners are doing, getting rid of some of the stocks that have lost money to offset some of the gains that they have. So there's a lot of dressing going on at the end of the year, and usually that means buying and selling going on and causing a little bit of rally. It's not as what would be the right thing? It's not as real as most people think it is but it's got such a good name. You got to talk about it.
So it's not Santa Claus giving mutual funds and ETFs to all the good little boys and girls on Wall Street.
Unfortunately, there's good little boys and girls on Wall Street, so it doesn't really have a big effect.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff, Mark, for sure. I would be delighted for that, honestly, if I got a mutual fund or especially a Timothy fund in my stocking. That'd be pretty great. So, Mark, looks like we're getting a little bit of a connection issue with you there, brother. So we're going to try to get that fixed right now. Let's see if we can get Mark reconnected. While we're doing that, guys, Sam, let's take a look at that real interesting story that we're seeing. It looks like China, for better or worse, is getting somewhat of a technology advantage. Sam,
I think the answer to that would be worse, right, Seth?
Yeah. Give us the details there, Sam.
So this is coming from our Aussie friends down in Australia. It's the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. They did a report saying China now leads, get this, 90% of the critical technologies. This includes major things like nuclear energy and satellites. They say there's 74 technology areas they're studying these critical technologies. Guess how many the United States is in charge of, Seth?
Do I want to know?
It's 8. I guess it's better than none.
That's a lot.
It's 8.
Good grief.
Yeah, and those are some big ones, too, like quantum computing. But the report does warn that China's really getting advantage in up-and-coming technologies, things like AI. They say could create a monopoly even with AI, which would basically mean China controls the future. Although Trump is aware this is a problem, he, of course, signed that executive order trying to make a streamlined regulation system for AI. He's also started a new AI-focused tech force, partnering with major tech companies to improve government systems and capabilities as well.
Yeah. Guys, do we have Mark back connected again?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark. See if you're sounding good.
It's still not
nothing.
there.
It sounds like there's an internet issue. Mark, we're going to hang on here. Just hang on 1 second. We'll keep the show going here. Folks, again, if you want to call in, 610-363-1110. We're going to try to get Mark reconnected again. I think maybe China is not too pleased with what we're saying, and so they've tried to cut Mark's feed off, it sounds like. But yeah, really interesting stuff here, Sam. It is discouraging, unfortunately, seeing 74 technology areas studied in the United States, leading in just 8. I think it is good. It's a good move that Trump is doing this new AI-focused tech force. So, hopefully he'll be able to do that. I was concerned, Sam, when I heard the whole thing about Trump signing the executive order aimed at setting a federal standard for AI regulation, simply because if these things are established now, you assume they're going to continue beyond the Trump years. And if you got another president in office, I'm not sure I want a lefty controlling AI with that much power. And I don't know how much power this brings with it, but still.
Yeah, there was no regulation with that, but it does set a weird precedent of you have President Donald Trump just declaring that the president has executive power to regulate or declare that there is only federal authority over AI regulation. My man Ron DeSantis down in Florida is pushing back against that. Even though I like what Trump's trying to do, I think he is right to say, whoa. The president can't just claim that he's in in charge of these things.
Yeah, I think he's exactly right. Absolutely. And I couldn't help but wonder if on the conservative side, if say we're in 2023 and this is happening and Biden is claiming this power, we'd probably hear a big uproar from our side. So
sure. Yep.
Just because it's Trump, listen, we have to see what's happening here, folks, for sure. Sam, elsewhere, looks like ChatGPT is now approaching 1 billion users. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so right now it's 900 million. That's what we know of. It could be even higher right now, but the official data is 900 million weekly active users. That's really impressive. It's only been on the market for 3 years now. I mean, it feels like it's been there forever. It's just become so ingrained in our lives, but it's only been around for 3 years. To put that into context, for comparison, it took Gmail 10 years to reach 1 billion users. Facebook, it took 8.5 years. And I think TikTok, it was somewhere around 5.5.
So, folks, listen, I want to speak for just a moment from a place of love to all of you out there like me. Maybe you're let's say you're a little bit old school. Because I think that's what Sam, would you agree? I'm 33, but I have a little bit of an old school.
An old soul?
Yeah, a little bit of an old soul. I don't particularly like AI. I'm just going to say I don't particularly like using it. I trust my own intuition more. However, this is what is coming. This is the future. We have got to be able, and listen, if you're someone you're in your 60s, you're in your 70s, maybe you're listening to the show today, please at least familiarize yourself with enough of it to be able to at least manage your way around it, because this is not going away. It's just not. I mean, that kind of growth, Sam, is ridiculous. I know most everyone I know has a Gmail account now, and he said it took a decade to reach 1 billion users. Yep. And it took 3 years for ChatGPT to reach, right now it's at right around 900 million.
Well, part of that, it was a brand new technology. Yeah. It's the technology of the future, and they made it so easy to use. You just had to log on to chatgpt.com, type in your prompts, and interact with it. And I think that was part of the strategy, too, because AI needed that interaction to get the ball rolling and make it more sophisticated. So it was kind of a symbiotic relationship there.
Absolutely. So, listen, this stuff's not going away. I was technically alive during the internet craze of the late 90s, early 2000s, but honestly, I really don't remember it. I was little. Maybe some of you in the chat, you can call in or you can share on the chat what that was like, because I think we're seeing similar things here where you're seeing this technological advancement. We're on the cusp of something that is probably not going away. And it's probably only going to gain steam. I would also want to encourage our listeners, though, Sam, I think this is really important, too. And this will be familiar for those of you who were there when, the advent of Google came out and you could ask Google any question. Make sure that
What about Ask Jeeves? Remember Ask Jeeves?
I don't remember that. No.
It was a thing. I never asked him anything, but I know you could have.
Okay. So here's my one word of a kind of encouragement and wisdom for all of you as well is make sure you still know how to do stuff. Make sure you still know how to research. Make sure you still know how to open a book and look, for something, if you're looking for a historical factor. How about this, Sam? For Christmas, my wife is asking for a dictionary, like an old-fashioned dictionary that you can open up.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. I'm not kidding. In fact, I'm possibly going to go buy her the dictionary today. Don't tell her. She's not listening to the show today. It's supposed to be a surprise. Hopefully she's not listening. If so, the surprise is ruined. But
she doesn't know what kind. Is it Webster? What is it?
Exactly. She doesn't know. But it's that idea of still being able to know how to do things. Listen, who's really in charge of AI? Is it China? Is it Trump? Is it some cabal? You have to be able to know how to do things still in spite of that world, right?
They just did a study. Yeah. I didn't look into it in detail, but the gist of it that I skimmed said something like people are becoming more productive because of AI. They're getting more things done, but at the same time, their skills to get things done are atrophying.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you certainly don't want that to happen. Absolutely. Certainly don't want that to happen. So, especially this is going to be more of a temptation, I think, for our listeners who are a little bit older, because you're in your 60s, you're in your 70s, you're thinking, okay, let's be real. I'm going to be long gone by the time this stuff really takes off. But I would just encourage you, in much the same way that we talk about not outliving your money, you may be in your 70s and the Lord may have you on this earth for another 30 years.
Well, also the speed at which this stuff is developing is insane. I mean, who would have thought? It was like 2 years ago, if you asked it to make a picture of someone, he would have 5 heads and 3 hands. And now it's like a photo replica. You can't tell the difference. So I think this thing is going to be everywhere a lot quicker than we all think. I mean, it really already is.
Yeah, it really is. And, of course, folks, for you all here at the ministry, we're thinking in terms of our investments and, okay, what we need to be thinking about in terms of the technology and different things like that. AI is going to be involved. It's going to be involved in tech, obviously, but it's also probably going to be involved in energy and aerospace, utilities. It's not going away. So just some words of caution and warning for you there, folks. Hey, during this break, we're going to try to get Mark back on to the show, so just hang with us. Appreciate you all staying with us. You're welcome to call in 610-363-1110. If you're looking for a good Christmas gift as well for a loved one, Mark's book, The Wall Street Awakening, be great for you to get. You can make a donation to the ministry of any amount, and we'll send you a copy. If you want multiple copies, just let us know. We'll send you multiple copies too. And again, give as the Lord leads. We're not putting a price tag on this. This is between you and God. If you want to cover the cost of shipping, if you want to give a little extra, you're welcome to do that. So make that donation today for your copy of Wall Street Awakening. Make sure that you mention that you want the book as well. We'll be back right after this break, folks. Stick with us.
I started investing close to 30 years ago now. All that time, I had never heard anyone talk about setting up your portfolio in a way that glorifies God. When I first heard about it, I was listening to the radio, a show called Financial Issues. They were teaching people how to honor God with their money. I became a partner with Financial Issues, and it's been one of the best decisions I've made. Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
My wife and I helped lead a Crossroads Kids Club, and one of the girls, she said, Mr. Dave, you keep talking about like you didn't really believe in Jesus and you were like dead or something, and then like you believed in Jesus and then you're like alive, and I want to receive that. And so we like just prayed there in our group to receive Jesus and owning this idea of life with Jesus for the first time.
Help reach kids with the hope of the gospel. Visit reachourschools.com.
In the last 10 to 15 years being in ministry, being married, something that has been constant in our lives is Samaritan Ministries. As we've moved, we've had babies, we've had different things come up, we have just been able to rely on Samaritan in ways that we never really even thought about before becoming members.
Our heart's desire is to plant roots and be in a place for a really long time. It's how we were raised. We see the benefits of that, but we also see the open-handedness of being used by the Lord wherever He calls, because we just assumed when we started pursuing church planting, the quickest way to get from point A to point B is a straight line. And with the Lord, sometimes you find out it looks a lot more like this. And yet, Samaritan was with us through the entire thing.
We didn't have to look into, we have to change insurances now because we've moved states or whatever the case may be. And it's just been a real blessing to us in different phases of life.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Colleen.
We're the Gen X.
And we're Samaritan members.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
Folks, you got time to call in right now, 610-363-1110, and we've got Mark back. Mark, we missed you during those 7 minutes, brother.
Yeah, was it something I said, Seth, or what? I
was so offended by whatever it was you said.
Yeah, I know that Sam has that button there, but I didn't think you'd ever
Mark,
use it.
We could easily blame Sam for this.
You can do it. That's fine.
Well, the only thing that really happened in that segment, other than our conversation about AI, was I may have given away one of my wife's Christmas presents, so hopefully she's not listening.
Oh, no.
But at any rate, we're back now.
Okay. Well, good to be back.
363-1110. Mark, we missed you. Hey, let's get to some of these questions here, Mark. Unless, Mark, if you wanted to chime in, we just talked about, ChatGPT nearing 1 billion viewers and all that other stuff. I think we might have exhausted that topic, but if you have any comments for it.
We got a lot of questions
Sounds
to get
good.
to. Let's
do it then. Let's start with Amy. Amy's 57. She says, "Hey, Mark, I use Fidelity as my platform to trade your suggested stocks, etc. Would it be beneficial to sell some now at the end of the year to offset any taxes incurred? And how do I tell?"
Well, Amy, yeah, it's a great idea. We call it tax loss harvesting. And all you do is you go to your Fidelity account. You look out, you go into your account and you find those that have negative gains, that have lost money for you. The value has gone down. You look at those, you could sell those off. When you sell those, if you do it before the end of the year, you can claim them as losses against the gains. So, and then as long as you don't get back into them within 30 days. So you have to wait at least 30 days to get back into them. So it's not a hard thing to do. It's something that we've been recommending for about the last 3-4 months to everybody because of all the gains we've had from some very large gains from some of our picks over the years, and that our partners have decided to buy into and utilize. So yeah, it's a good idea, Amy. You just go to and if you don't know how to use Fidelity's platform to find gains and losses, you should be able to go in and just run a report. Actually, they should have that on there somewhere. But if not, just call the customer service there and they'll help you figure out which ones actually have capital losses on them. And one of the things I would be careful about right now, though, is make sure when you pick those that there's some dividends coming up with some of the stocks that may have lost money this year. So you want to make sure that you're not getting out like 2 days before the X date for a dividend declaration. You don't want to miss that.
That's good, Mark. Appreciate that one. Next one up here is Dave, Dave 71, and he's saying, hey, Mark, are baby bonds a safe investment compared to preferred stock?
Well, baby bonds are just a corporate bond, really. They're just usually with smaller face value. Instead of $2,000 or $1,000, they're $25 face value. So, and they trade on the stock exchange just like a stock does. So that's kind of neat about them. But, preferred stocks are an equity. They're not a debt. Baby bonds are a debt. You're loaning money to a company, two different things. Preferred stock pays a dividend, often a higher one than what you'd get out of a typical stock, but that dividend is not guaranteed. With a baby bond, it gives you a dividend or an interest that it's going to be paying you. So that's good. Also, more important difference, baby bonds sit above preferreds in the capital structure, meaning if something goes wrong with the company and they don't have money to pay preferreds, they still need to be paying the baby bonds. And if they don't pay the baby bonds, they're in default. There's some serious issues there. So interest on bonds come first, and then preferreds, and then common stock last. So effectively, they really are a little bit more reliable than preferred. So yeah, I think that they're a good investment for an income or a growth and income portfolio. And I think it's really good that you're asking about this because, my mind went through my mind as I was getting ready to just say thank you. But one of the things we do have to watch is interest rate sensitivity. With interest rates coming down, there's a good chance now somewhere in the future, maybe not this year or next year, but interest rates will start rising again. When that happens, that affects the value of the bond, just like it does any other bond when interest rates rise. But it's an excellent question. Thank you for asking that. And thank you for sharing that question with us and all our listeners, because I'm sure it's on somebody's mind. God bless and have a Merry Christmas, my friend.
And Mark, speaking of preferreds, that's our next question. Danny, who's 68, is asking about preferreds. He says, I've noticed that many, if not all of the preferreds on the list are microcaps. Now, I'm 68 years old and in the growth and income model, and I'm wondering if these are appropriate for my age and model, since they're microcaps and maybe more at risk in a down market. What do you think, Mark?
Danny, that's a little bit confusing to me because I don't believe we have any microcaps that are preferreds on what we consider a good buy. So maybe it's the way they're labeled or something on the back end of the Partners Hub on the broad list or on the buy list. My guess is maybe you saw MC on some of them. That doesn't stand for micro. It stands for mid cap. So maybe that's where the confusion's coming in there. And maybe I don't know. Maybe because sometimes when you look at them on other sites, maybe you go out somewhere and look at a preferred on a site, it looks small because the capitalization of a preferred is so much smaller than the large corporation it's coming from.
Yeah,
That's
we don't
all I
even
can
have
think of.
a cap listing on our site for preferreds. It just says NA.
Okay. NA, all right.
Yep.
So, yeah. So I don't know where that came from. I'm very sorry if there was something on the Partners Hub that caused that for you. And if there is, please email us again and let us know where you got that information, because that does not fit what I see in our portfolios. So God bless you, sir. Have a great Christmas.
Yeah, Danny, reach out to us for sure. Mark, the next question we have here is Nathan from Mississippi. Nathan's one of our faithful chat members, and he's asking a good question. He actually teed this question up, I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago or so. He said, should I be concerned about TE20? Now, that's A-Lab, Mark. He says, it's done really poorly since I purchased it. I know we look at long-term, while at the same time, there are times when companies suddenly fail with bad outlooks. I'm wondering if the long-term outlook for this company is declining. What do you think?
You know, you're absolutely right. Sometimes stocks do fail, and one of the indicators that lead up to that is falling stock prices as people are analyzing and saying, oh my gosh, the earnings are going down. Oh my gosh, the profits are going down. Oh my gosh, they've missed their dividend, and all these things start coming in. That's not A-Lab. But those could be indications. Sometimes stocks pull back just because they were overvalued. And A-Lab might be one of those that got way overvalued post-IPO and is just adjusting to that right now. It's not a business failure. A-Lab actually became profitable this year, which is a good indicator. Up until now, it's been more of a spec or an aggressive stock, we would call it, because they didn't have the profits. They became profitable, and they're forecast to grow the earnings at least almost 30%, 28.99%. So this is very good. They're not their balance sheet is looking good, and things are going. So no, I wouldn't panic on A-Lab. I wouldn't look at it as, oh, these are indicators because the price went down. This is an indicator that this company's going out of business. It's just, I think it's adjusting to the reality of what it's really worth, as so many people piled on A-Lab pre-IPO, and now it's just adjusting to its normalcy. And then it has a really good growth future ahead of it, it looks like. So thanks for that question. It's a really good question.
Yeah, Nathan,
and God bless you.
Great one, brother. Appreciate that. Mark, I think we got time to squeeze in a final one for today. Steven is 72, and he's asking, I have 17 shares in a stock. The stock is FISV. He's wondering, should I sell or buy? And if it was ever on the list, if not, should I hold it or should I sell it?
Interesting question. You confused me for a little bit there, but then I realized FISV changed its ticker to FI. And so I re-looked it up, and you know what? Fiserv is not biblically responsible. It does not comply with the biblical responsible standards. So just for that reason, financial issues, we would not put that on our list of stocks we're comfortable with and that we think would be a buy. And I don't know if it's ever been on the buy list. Quite frankly, I looked back for a little bit, but I didn't see it anywhere on our watch list, our buy list, our hold list. So I don't know if it's ever been on, and whether that's been for compliance, BRI compliance reasons or otherwise. But the bottom line is, it doesn't fit who we are as believers in Jesus Christ. It doesn't fit who we are as stewards over God's money in the market. So there's really no need to dig deeper than that for us at Financial Issues. We look at that and we say, okay, this is not in alignment with the stewards of the tenets of stewardship that we know to be true. And in all things, honor God, utilizing God's resources, the money he entrusts to us, for God's purposes. And God's purposes are to care for, love on, and bring people to Christ and eternal life and a relationship with him and to his glory. This stock doesn't do that. So if it was mine, I'd be selling it. It's between you and God, though. But because you're on here and because you ask, I believe that you probably love the Lord as much as any of us do. And hopefully that you'll realize and take action on this the same way we would, and honor God with our investments by investing with biblical integrity. It's been a great show today, even though you guys kicked me off for a little bit. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. God bless.
If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.